when I saw your map here in the office, I was just blown away.
One of the crew members' wife was communicating
Through telepathy?
psychically,
Yeah.
saying we're alive, but we don't know where we are and we can't get out. The Titanic was found 3 years prior by the Navy, and they did all the investigation they need to do before they told anybody about the Titanic. And when you go on Google Earth and find out that, look at that canyon.
Yeah, that angle, right.
And this is the Malibu one. That's also on that great picture.
That's a great picture that they took of that.
Yeah.
And they still haven't covered it up, I don't think.
Yeah. You don't have to cover up something that nobody believes.
Man, this is such an interesting topic. My father was in the Navy, and on his deathbed told me a lot of interesting things. And then, working after the military with some other projects using underground backscattered radar technology, low volumetric imaging. We found a lot of amazing things that we were, we're looking for something else actually, but we got to see this underground, basically aquifers and tunnels, large enough to have submarines.
Yep.
It's like a tunneling system.
Yep.
And when I saw your map here in the office, I was just blown away because, I used to live right here in Topanga in Malibu, and we would do a lot of underwater photography and trips down there, but it's a lot deeper than that. And I met a few agents down there that verified this, and I would love for you to explain your take on this and where it starts and how it all got started. And also, when was the first time you heard about it?
The 7 western states of the United States actually sit on a plate which rests on the Pacific Ocean. The first time I heard about it was the Branton documents. Many years ago, maybe 30 years ago, I read them and talked about the disappearance of the Thresher. Now, the Thresher was one of the very first Navy nuclear submarines that disappeared, and the Navy has done every possible thing to make us believe that it blew up or disintegrated somehow in the Azores. Actually, it was lost in the Pacific Ocean under California or Nevada.
Mm-hmm.
What they had done is they found the entrance in Monterey Bay. There's a canyon that's deep enough that they can take a nuke sub, go under and enter the Pacific Ocean that's under those 7 western states. And they can go anywhere they want, and all that has to happen on the surface, they dig down whatever the length of the plate is. In the case of Hawthorne, it's 3,400 feet. Sandpoint, it's a little more. Lake Tahoe, you remember when Jacques Cousteau did the deep dive at Lake Tahoe?
Yes.
And when he came up, they said, "What'd you see?" He said, "I can't tell you. The public doesn't need to know about that." Right. So he knew in those days.
Connected.
Branton talked about the Thresher was actually lost under either California or Nevada, and one of the crew members' wife was communicating,
Through telepathy?
psychically,
Yeah.
saying we're alive, but we don't know where we are and we can't get out. And that was Branton's story.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first time I heard about.
What year was that?
Well, that had to be in the late 70s or early 80s.
Wow.
Okay, then when my folks moved up to Reno in 1970, I would drive from Las Vegas up there,
Mm-hmm.
and halfway between is this little town called Hawthorne. There's a lake, Walker Lake.
Right.
It's 100 feet deep, 15 miles long, no big deal. But when you drive into Hawthorne from either end, there's a big blue sign
I love that sign.
that says U.S. Navy Undersea Warfare Center. Training. And it used to say training center, but they
Right.
changed it to center.
In the middle of a desert.
How could that be? A 100-foot deep lake submarine? No way. And I tossed that around for years, and even flying,
Yeah, we flew over this many times.
jump seating in the cockpit with the different airlines going over this place. Somebody would say, yeah, there's a submarine base there. And never figured it out until I had a good contact in Las Vegas. He ran a printing shop just a small printing shop. And he used to give me so much information, because guys that would come in there, all parts of the industry. And one was a Navy guy that worked in Hawthorne, and they used him printing. And when they came in, he just made the comment, hey, is what John Lear says, there's a submarine base under Hawthorne, and the guys went like that. So that tipped us off. And then one thing led to another, and we found out, yes, there is a huge, they built an elevator that goes down, and the reason they did was because the firm that makes all the highly classified weaponage for the U.S. nuclear subs is in that mountain just to the northwest of Hawthorne. And they used to have to ship it by truck either up to Reno and up to Alameda in San Francisco, or through Las Vegas down to San Diego. But when they found out that the submarines could access and actually go under the Nevada and California, they dug a large hole there, 3,400 feet deep, to the Pacific Ocean, and they have a huge underground base. And all I have to do is take this weapon and put it on the elevator and send it down there.
And they got it.
And the sub goes out the Monterey Bay.
John, you and I know this, but how do we actually explain how the plates, they're not floating, but they are thousands of feet above the next level? This is very deep water under California and Nevada. And how do they make these bases, in Nevada?
Actually, it does float. The 7 western states are on a geological plate that covers these states. And this plate floats on the Pacific Ocean. So all they need is the entrance through a canyon that's deep enough in Monterey Bay that lets them access the Pacific Ocean.
Oh, I see.
And they could go anywhere they want in these 7 western states. They can go to Sandpoint, they can go to Lake Tahoe, they can go to China Lake, where they've seen the nuke submarines there in the middle of the desert. And Groom Lake, I'm sure, has an access, and certainly Sandia and Tonopah.
Yes.
But there's other places in those 7 western states where people see a sign that says U.S. Naval Undersea Center.
Right. You talked about drilling this 3,500-foot entranceway from topsoil all the way at the bottom. And I'm familiar with underwater facilities in the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Do they have that there as well? Or is it just the sub comes up, it vacuums out like in space when we're transferring things, Or is it actually a huge, center down there that people are working at, and the sub pulls in and comes up?
The sub doesn't come up. It sits right at the where the Pacific Ocean has its level at 0 altitude.
Right.
And the Nevada test site, they've been digging tunnels that wide for years, since the early 50s. So to dig one at Hawthorne was light duty. Probably took them a couple of days, and they're 3,400 feet.
Right. We're talking about massive submarines going, under the continental shelf here.
If you're wondering how do they get in there, they access it by the canyons. Now you can see on Monterey Bay, pull up Google Earth.
That famous photo, right?
And go down, and you can see this huge canyon just goes to the coastline at Monterey Bay and stops. Well, it doesn't stop. It goes all the way through, and that's what they can do, is get on the bottom of this canyon and go access the Pacific Ocean that lies under these 7 western states.
Is that just a natural geological formation, or have they actually done more to clear those areas to get to these areas?
It's a natural formation, just like the one at Malibu. Now, there's good pictures on the web of that entrance there, and those are natural formations. Now, when I heard the Branton story of the Thresher that was lost, I started looking at the 2 nuclear submarines that the U.S. Navy lost, and the one was the Thresher, and the other was, I'm thinking, not Skipjack, but a name like that. And the Navy has gone to unbelievable effort to hide where those nuclear submarines disappeared. One was supposedly at the Azores, one was supposedly in the Pacific. And I have talked to some of the guys in the Pentagon Navy, and they come up with all these reasons how I could be wrong. But, the fact is, both those submarines were lost in the Pacific Ocean under one or more of the, either Nevada or California. Now, I'll tell you the extent that they went to pretend that the Thresher was lost at the Azores. The discoverer of the Titanic, what really happened is Robert Ballard went to the U.S. Navy and asked for some equipment to help him find the Titanic. The Titanic was found 3 years prior by the Navy, and they did all the investigation they need to do before they told anybody about the Titanic, and they let Ballard be the discoverer. And, the Navy had already been there for 3 years. The agreement that Navy made with Ballard is that he go to the Azores and take pictures of the sunken Thresher submarine and what was left of the debris of the nuclear reactor, which didn't exist at all, but which he did and filmed, whatever was there that they called the Thresher. And in return for that, they told him where the Titanic was, and he discovered it.
Oh, it always works like that. Always someone on someone's shoulders.
And then they did the same thing in the Pacific with the one they lost there. But both of those submarines were lost somewhere under California and Nevada. And now you say, well, how do you know for sure, John? I had a friend that was in the Navy, stationed in San Francisco, and one day he was exiting wherever he worked, and that was where they made maps of all the places around the world. And they happened to have a map of California, and there was a line from Monterey Bay to Hawthorne. And that was the route that they used, the submarines used there. And at first I thought it was a tunnel. No, it's not a tunnel. It's just a whole ocean. That just happened to be the routes that they used from the entrance at Monterey Bay to Hawthorne.
I can't believe they couldn't find this submarine because of the technology we have today, and also it's like the ELTs we have in the back of our aircraft,
Right.
It's like they have the similar, it's actually a different frequency, and it's harmonics that I'm aware of, that if there was something going on bad, that you could pick this signal up anywhere in any ocean around the world.
Remember, Emery, we're talking 45 years ago. We didn't have that technology then.
Oh, okay.
Now we could have it,
right?
But of course the people are dead, the sailors are dead, and we probably found it now, but you and I are going to know about it.
How are they covering up these entrances, and are they, of course, monitored, and is there someone always down there?
No, but it's just outside Fort Ord, and there's always something there because there's a gigantic UFO base outside of Fort Ord.
Right.
So, they don't have to guard it because nobody would be there. Nobody would have their own submarine
to go that deep.
Check it out.
Yeah. Well, tell us about Hawthorne. We got the map here. Let's go over the entrances, where they are and where they lead to Hawthorne.
Okay. This is the Monterey Bay entrance, and at Moss Landing, and it's the Elkhorn Slough that you can look under when you go on Google Earth and find out look at that canyon.
Yeah, that angle, right.
And this is the Malibu one. That's also on the net. Great pictures.
That's a great picture that they took of that. Yeah. And they still haven't covered it up, I don't think.
No. You don't have to cover up something that nobody believes. So this is Hawthorne, and that's the route that they take direct to Hawthorne, and that's where they get all their super weapon stuff. This is Lake Tahoe, and that's Pyramid Lake.
Pyramid Lake.
There's something at Winnemucca. There's always been something at Winnemucca, and I don't know what it is, but there's always been some kind of classified facility there. This one is Lake Mead. Nellis used to be called the Navy Lake Mead Station.
Really?
Yeah. And it was changed. They took that Lake Mead Station out of there for some reason, but that the underground or the undersea Pacific Ocean stretched all the way to Lake Mead, and there's certainly access. There was access then. There's probably access now at Nellis Air Force Base.
Oh.
If you enjoyed this, make sure to watch the next video on AwakenZone. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell, but you won't want to miss what's coming next.